Well, Jamaica lost most of its reefs in the 80s.
Scientists say parts of Australia's Great Barrier Reef.
We seem to be in the middle of a third major global bleaching event right now.
In 2016, we had by far the most serious mass bleaching event ever.
Say coral bleaching is getting worse in southwestern Japan. Water temperatures topped 30 degrees Celsius this year.
In the relatively near future, we may have bleaching events almost every year. And if that happens, reproduction will stop and the coral will no longer be able to adapt to changing conditions in the oceans. It will be a devastating event.
On a small island called Moorea, which lays in the middle of the Pacific Oceans, there are a young group of people who fight against the drop of the corals. Together with a team of over 20 young men and women, they grow new corals in nurseries to replant them and make sure the reef around their island is healthy and alive. After 4 years of work, they are known all around the globe for their engagement and great work. They have gathered a community of more than 500,000 people.
Let's go! My name is Teano. I'm living in Moorea since I was a baby. I love the ocean. I surf, free dive, and bodyboard. So I used to grow up in the ocean. And my life now is to work at Coral Gardeners, an organization fighting for the reefs. And that's what I love now.
Why is the reef so important for all the fish and all the other marine animals living here?
First of all, coral reefs, they are at the base of the food chain. Coral reefs represent just less than 1% of all the ocean space on the planet. They are an habitat for 1/4 of the marine life, which is really important. And here it's like food for many fishermen. It's a source of revenue, like economical with the tourism. And that's why they are really important here in French Polynesia and also around the world.
Why is it so important also for like you as inhabitant of the island and as a human?
As I'm concerned, I'm a part of a family of fishermen. So my dad used to be one of the best in the island of Moorea in Tahiti. So we're depending on the food by the fish. So we catch fish for dinner or breakfast. And it's also not just our family. It's important for many families here in French Polynesia, and that's what makes our lifestyle.
What are the main threats the corals have to face, and what's the main problem for the reefs right now?
Today the main problem is global warming. So the water temperature is rising, like with the acidity, and that's what will impact a lot the coral reefs because they will turning white. A coral is an animal living with a symbiotic relationship with a small microalgae that we call the zooxanthellae, and she needs the light of the sun to operate this photosynthesis and give all the nutrients that the animal needs to grow. So with the global warming, they will turn white because the temperature of the water is too warm.
I often heard that sunscreen is a big problem for the reef. Is it like that? Like, is sunscreen a threat for the corals?
Sunscreen is also a problem because it creates a layer at the top of the water, and then the photosynthesis can't operate, so they can reach the sunlight. So that's a bad thing also. And chemicals, they goes into the tissue of the corals, and that's kill them. So me, I never use sunscreen because I used to be a Tahitian guy. So I grew up here in French Polynesia, and my skin just protect me.
Yeah.
So, but it's better to wear a lycra or stuff like this, like a shirt at least.
If the corals die from global warming, are there corals which can resist the warming and which can resist those threats and still stay alive?
In coral reefs' lives, you can have events like a coral bleaching event. So because of the temperature rise, there is some corals which they can face at this climate change, so they're still healthy on the barrier reef. So you still can have some corals which can be more resilient to this problem. So that's what we are working with, super corals we say, because they were facing at different events of bleaching. So I think we can work with better corals for the future.
So how do you actually work? How do you grow new corals, and how long does it take for a small piece of coral till it's ready to be attached to the reef?
The process is really simple. Like now we are working with the super corals, so coral resilient, and we are going to on the barrier reef, so in the lagoon, looking for super corals. Mostly they will have a big size, and then we're gonna trim 10% of one colony of the coral, then put it on the ropes. So you just untie it, and they will make a hole. Just put it inside. Then after you let it, you retie it, and then you just put it in the water, and it will grow like faster than ever.
That's what you call the nurseries, right?
Yeah, that's the nurseries. Then after 12 to 18 months, they will reach adult size. So then we can plant them back to a damaged reef or a dead reef.
Yeah, hi, I'm Evelyn. I'm the restoration manager here at Coral Gardener for almost a year now.
Well, my first question to you would be, how do you make sure that the corals continue growing after you set them out onto the reef, after you attach them to the dead coral blocks?
That's a good question. There is nothing like we can make sure we're monitoring them. So we're going every 3 months over there to see how they're doing, to take the growth and the survival rate. And if we see any predators, starfish predator, we remove them. That's how we do it.
What positive effects could you already see since you started the project in the areas you work?
Well, they attract more fish, corals, and also we saw an increase in coral recruits, where we actually put some coral on the reef.
We ask ourselves, do you need any kind of allowance from the government to work on the reef, and like you do changes on the reef, or?
Yes, we do. For our nursery part, the one you will see in the water, where we grow corals on the fragment. So we fragment the coral and we grow them on the rope. There we need permits because we use certain area of the lagoon. But to replant them on the reef, we basically can replant them wherever we want.
Okay, and do you get, beside that, do you get any support from the government side, or if not, would you wish them to take more action in this problem?
We get some support, not financially. We don't get any funding from the government. We moved toward more private sector to be a social enterprise, so we are independent and we don't wait for any funding.
Do a lot of people come visit you here on your headquarters, and is there some kind of voluntary work people can do here and help you with your conservation?
Yeah, well, we receive a few people, so the doors are always open, so they can come and see where we work. We can explain them. At the moment, we don't take anyone in the water. We don't take any volunteer because we are not strong enough. But we always, like, if we need somebody, we'll post a job advert and you can help us like this.
Do you have projects on other islands, or by now you only work on Moorea?
At the moment, it's only Moorea. We have a project to go maybe in the Tuamotus Island atoll. And next year, hopefully, we'll go internationally.
So my last question, what can I do as a normal person who doesn't live nearby the sea to help saving the reef and take action?
So that's very easy. You can decrease your CO2 or carbon footprint. Try not to use plastic or to throw any plastic in the sea, of course, and for us, adopt a coral. So you go online on our website, coralgardeners.org. And you can select 10 corals that you like from 10 corals. So you can select one, name it, how you want to name it, and you will receive a certificate, either on a printed version or a digital version.
Okay, and if I adopt a coral, that means one more coral will be set into the reef?
Yes, that will be one more fragment set in the reef, and you get some news from the entire colony. That we took some fragment out of it, and then you will see how all of these fragments will grow and how they're doing back on the reef.
Cool. Yeah, then thank you very much, and yeah, we are happy to learn something from you and see how you work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're happy to have you here.
It was super nice to see how the coral gardeners are working, and I'm super stoked to adopt a coral now, and if you also want to adopt a coral, go on coralgardeners.org and you find everything you need to know. See you next time. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you find the subscribe button here or a random video here. Bye!